So I'm going to suggest, given what we just shared, and we all have it handy, how about if we each put our picture up and share what we see in our little inner self and share that with the rest of our tribe. So like, put it up like, let's see, can you guys see that?
Yep,
Okay.
you go first, Nancy.
Oops, sorry, like, oh, I don't know. It's really hard to get the, wrong picture. Oh, crap, where'd it go? Okay, somebody else go first. I gotta find it.
All right, Terry, you can kick us off.
Okay. All right. So this is me. And this is actually when I was little. I think I'm actually about 4 years old in this picture, maybe 3 or 4. And my grandmother, who is my very favorite person in the whole world, just supported me so much. She always called me Terry Ann. Now it's not, so that's what I'm calling myself in this organization as well, is Terry Ann, which brings all that I don't know, confidence that my grandmother gave me that I was a worthwhile person, because I didn't always feel that way. And in my parents, it wasn't as supportive as it was with my grandmother. So she was kind of my safe haven, where I did feel valued and I did feel like I was good enough. So when I see this picture, it reminds me of my grandmother. And it just helps me to know that I am valued, I'm good enough, I was loved. And I think in Fearless Living, we call this our antidote to beating ourselves up, is this picture of ourselves. So when I look at her, I think, no, I wouldn't tell her she wasn't good enough. I wouldn't tell her she was ugly. I wouldn't tell her she was fat. I wouldn't tell her any of those things that through the years I've told myself. So that's what I just think of. She's my antidote to beating myself up.
Love it.
Wow, thank you for sharing. Nancy, your turn.
Okay, so that is me. I was about 5 or 6. I'm wearing my favorite tiger socks that were probably hand-me-downs, because look at how big they are. And I was sitting on the steps at our farmhouse. And what I see in myself when I look at this is just how happy I was, yet a little bit shy, looking away from the camera. But I was giggling and, just loving life. And so I see kind of my eyes just light up. And so it's my reminder that is who I am. I mean, I am kind of giggly and goofy, and I covered that up for a lot of years. But that is my true essence, and I just love it. And so, yeah, share yours quick, Tammy, because
Okay.
yeah.
Here I am, and okay. There we go. I think I might be probably 4 or 5 here. And I'm at my grandparents', and those 2 bags, I believe that they're full of apples. But I don't know for certain, but we used to always do that at my grandma's house. We'd get the apples and make pies together. But in this picture, I see my little smile and kindness. I was always a great little helper. I see that I'm enjoying whatever I'm doing, that I'm happy to be helping bring these in. And I just look really carefree. And I lost some of that for quite a few years. And I'm back. I'm pulling back and embracing this innocence again, myself. So, well, thank you guys. That was an amazing exercise. That was completely refreshing. Thanks for inspiring.
That was really refreshing.
All right, I'm going to hit pause, and I'll see you guys at the top of the hour.
Sounds good.
Is there any particular topic or anything that you want some support on refreshing? Anything to kind of reset yourself for the work week, for the month? All right. Well, I always have a few things written down. And, I know on the note of what we were talking about earlier and just explaining what OP is and some of the terminology that we use, like the mastermind, what we're doing. I came across a description or definition of holding space that I really, really appreciated. That I think also is a great description for how we apply this term. It's being with someone without judgment while lending an ear, an open heart, and a shoulder to lean on. And I think that is so, so right. It just fits us so well, for everybody, what we are to one another.
Can you read it again?
Holding space, being with someone without judgment while lending an ear, an open heart, and a shoulder to lean on. I came across this.
Here, and open. I'm typing in our chat.
Oh, I can put
And
it here
a
too.
shoulder to lean on. I like that.
And, along with that, I know this is a saying that we're seeing more and more often now, just the ability to do hard things. That's what we do. And I don't know if it's something that's been kind of a catchphrase right now, but we support each other as we do go through life doing hard things. Because life's not easy. If it was, it wouldn't be the journey that we're on. We wouldn't be learning anything new. We wouldn't be experiencing highs and lows. So I had just made a card, so often, we all do that where we read things or hear something, like you had mentioned, Nancy, earlier, sometimes within masterminds, you're wanting to write something down and then, you have to quickly move after that hour to do something. And you're trying to recall everything that you had heard and what your takeaway was. So I use these fabulous little note cards
Hmm,
and slip them in my books.
cool. So are they just like index cards, or where did you find them?
It's like all these, my kids, they have to have index cards every year for school and they come home with. Sometimes they're not even opened. So
Mhm.
I've delved in. But, I also have on this note card, to be 100% honest, I have, refresh on your intentions for your day, your week, your year, your life. Pause and reflect on your purpose. So I think that ties into what I might have put out on my Trello board. Because
Mhm.
it's bigger than, us just chatting here about refreshing, to kind of refuel, kind of reset ourselves, which is definitely one way to do it, but it can go so much deeper sometimes.
Mhm.
And I think that's where some of the summit will go, just in mind of, how we can refresh our whole direction in life. So I have just begun, kind of prepping for it.
Mhm.
Having done it a bit this year, but now I'm going to put it out on words.
So I love that though, just being intentional about, how you want to use it.
I was listening to, on my walk this morning, I was listening to a book by Brene Brown, who her whole thing is shame, and how, fearless living is fear. I think there's a lot of correlation between fear and shame. But she was talking about, in particular, supporting your boundaries with people who tend to shame you. And she was talking about people who unintentionally shame us, or how we unintentionally might shame others around. The main areas that women tend to shame each other in is number one, motherhood. And that was where a lot of shame comes up. And so when you said being with someone without judgment while lending an ear, an open heart, and a shoulder to lean on, it just made me think of that's the kind of support we can give one another, and it would involve no shame. We wouldn't be comparing, we wouldn't be thoughtless. We would think about what we were going to say, that wouldn't be judgmental, because shame usually comes from someone judging someone else based upon their own experience rather than having empathy and awareness for the other person's experiences. And so that just kind of smacked me of that whole concept of what I was listening to this morning when I was walking around the park.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I totally agree. So often I think just the description of what we've been raised to think of as shame, but how it actually is carried out, especially among women. And I know it can be across, the community of men and women, but like motherhood has been one area where it's exercised a little bit more. And I think
Yeah. She
it's
said motherhood and body image. Body image and motherhood were the two highest, categories where women tend to feel that shame, either from internally or from external comments or advertisements or, whatever.
Mm.
yeah, it's a new chapter in so many of our lives. I mean, if you're first, second child, whatever it might be, I think there's always that level of, a little insecurity. We haven't done this all before. There's no guidebook. But so often people love to tell you what you should be doing, what
Mhm.
they work, they like best. And so often you just have to figure it out on your own. Yeah. Well, Foxy, hello. Are you with us?
I am here. I am listening.
All right. We're just chatting a little bit about refreshing and how deep we can go with refreshing our lives, our insights, and how we perceive what people say. And shame and fear are so often what is hidden behind people's comments, the judgment that we lend to one another and ourselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that mom shame is a real big thing. I think as women, we can be super mean to each other. And usually I think moms mom shame because of their own insecurities, and they have to feel like they're doing a better job than you. So they put you down to make themselves feel better about what they're doing. But and I think that's usually why people bully, because mom shame is bullying, basically. And so keeping that in mind and seeing others' innocence in that, saying, that person is just in their fear, and I don't need to also get in mine because they are in theirs. That's usually what I say. That doesn't mean that always helps, but that's what I say.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to definitely take that. We don't go there.
It's- Yeah. It's really like, I mean, there's two primary emotions that drive pretty much every decision. And it's either love or fear, right? It's either the positive side or the negative side, and for lack of a better word, because I think it is what it is. It's not necessarily negative that we have fear. It's that it's the place that we're at when we're judging others, typically. So, and if you come at everything, we just talked about this in my PQ pod today. If you come at everything out of love, then it doesn't really matter if you agree or disagree with the other person. What matters is that you're being with someone without judgment, while lending an ear, an open heart, and a shoulder to lean on.
And that's what, Nancy, when Shelley was on that Lectio class last Friday or the Friday before, we hadn't seen her for ages. And she said something about vaccinations. And I mean, that's where people judge each other a lot right now. And she just said, you do you and I'll do me. And I don't know, for some reason that just stuck with me as a way of not having judgment,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
She
And
said what she wanted to say. She said what
Yeah.
she believed, but she didn't
Yeah.
expect us to believe it too.
Yeah, I love that. Kelly says, Mom, you've been saying that a lot lately. Yeah, I have, because it's a way for me to not be judgmental.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Acceptance, right? We don't have to agree to accept somebody. In fact, most of the time we don't agree with, with a lot, but we can still accept somebody. It's 7:01.
I have to turn over, and I'm trying to carpool, so I'm trying to
Are you turning over in bed, or are you turning over a new leaf? What are you turning over?
turning over at the 7 o'clock hour. And I'm gonna put myself on my phone. So, and then while I do that, let me hit pause.